I am taking therapy this Friday at the time I'm recording this. So I really want to share like my thoughts about therapy before taking therapy. And yeah, I also have a lot of energy. It's my day two of a music detox. I can't listen to music. So I feel like I have so much energy and I'm really excited about that. Cause it's like whatever. Like I just be talking to myself anywhere and everywhere and it's like I'm just like laughing at nothing. So it's exciting. I'm happy if that makes sense. Yeah, I just have a lot of energy compared to like the past few days where it's like meh. But yeah, so let's talk about therapy. Like I think as first generation in the sense of I came here when I was 4 years old, so I was born in Mexico, all of that. So not first generation American, but first generation as in like the first of a lot of things in my family. So one of the first one to graduate from college, especially in 3 years. Um, what else? I think that's it. I think that's the only thing I've done as first generation. Anyways, I'm also gonna be the first one to no, not the first one, my bad. The second person in my family to take therapy and intentionally I so let's do again, I don't have this plan, but I think it's very interesting. I think therapy is an important thing to talk about, like all jokes aside, because I think as first generations, like you're one of the first ones to kind of deal with like a lot of emotional trauma, like traumas, small, big, whatever it is, and but it affected and influenced us so much and influenced our perspective, how we think about life, all of that. Like I used to be and tend to be sometimes a very negative person. I dwell like it's so weird, but I'm cold-hearted, but also like very sensitive at the same time. So if you could relate to that, like comment down below. But you know, again, with being first generations, me being first generation and me being the older sister from like my family, like I have two younger brothers. They're not too young. They're 21 and 18, and then my parents. Me being the older one is like I had to learn how to do things by myself, and also and it's again it's a weird thing because it's not the first generation type of like you have to translate for your parents and you have to do all that. Like my cousin, shout out to Jazz, she she was that for us. Like she was the older sister for us, and she's the one who had to translate. My other cousin too will do that for her mom, but me us personally, we I didn't have to really do that. And you know when there's a stories when you go to the doctor and you have to translate, you know, I didn't talk to the receptionist and stuff like that because I and then like my brothers as well, we are very very shy, so we kind of got off like they didn't have to do that because we use that card like, oh no, we don't want to talk to, and then we will stay on that thought. Anyways, going back to first generation, I or we tend to kind of like want to figure things ourselves, figure things out ourselves, and just like and do things independently. And that's the problem. We've done things by ourselves for such a very long time, and dealing with this like wanting to do things better, be a better person, have a business, be financially okay, be emotionally okay, fix a lot of relationships with family. You know, a lot of these first things were trying to be a better communicator. There's like people in front of me, but be a better communicator and heal your relationships with your parents. Even though like it wasn't that bad, but it's just like there's always gonna be certain things where for us it was traumatic or it was not it affected us, you know. So like having to deal with a lot of those things, like you don't know how to heal those things, or like just watching videos, at least for me, I feel like it wasn't enough because it's like, okay, I understand, but how do I put this into practice? Like where's this guidance? Oh my god, these people got me by it. But where's this guidance, right? So I feel like for so long I've been trying to figure things out by myself, and I bought courses and I bought courses in like business stuff and how to start your own drop shipping a company or business, how to start your own like business in general, how to start what other courses I like how to be a better salesperson, it's a lot of courses like that, and then courses specifically, mostly if not all, with no some of them, most of them with Fred Broca, which is a spiritual teacher that I follow for very long, for now almost 3 years, 3 4 years, and usually that's where I buy most of my courses. Like right now, I'm doing one with Constelaciones Familiares, which is where you talk about where you kind of un- you try you start to understand like your family history, like you understand like where like these traumas or like these patterns come where these patterns have evolved from, and you try to heal those. Like you accept them, and then you become aware of them, you accept them, and then you let go pretty much. Because of the day you can't really do much. Like you become so aware of these things, but if you don't change yourself, like what's within you internal, then like nothing really changes. And that's something I've really had to understand the hard way, because no matter how where I am, like, oh, this happened to my grandma, and this happened to my mom, and this happened to my parents, and this happened to like my other parent, my other grandparents, you know, at the end of the day I'm the one who has to choose differently. So I mean, don't get me wrong, like all of this is good, like all of this awareness is good. But going back to my point is that we try to learn these things, we try to do these things by ourselves and trying to learn. And yes, we get all this awareness, but for me, I've gotten to a point where there's still so much resistance. There's so much. There's just so much knowledge that I have, but I haven't been able to put it in place. Like it's specifically like me forming better habits, me doing like being consistent with the podcast. I missed 3 days now, and it's like, why do I keep missing so many days? Why am I not consistent with stuff if I literally have so much time in my hands? Like I literally have no excuse. I'm like the most spoiled person in the world. I'm kidding. I'm not that spoiled. Yeah, no, I take that back. But in like how other people have grew up, like from the people that I know, like I am, my brothers and I, we are spoiled in that sense. So thankfully not too spoiled where we don't know how to do stuff by ourselves. But when it comes to our own projects, when it comes to us like being becoming financially stable and going after our passions, that we're not we're not good at that. Like we expect like people to like just tell us what to do. And again, this just comes with societal stuff, family expectations. Like you gotta do this, you gotta get a 9 to 5, blah blah blah. So again, going back to my point, and then hopefully I'm not going like all over the place and it all goes in. It's that for the past, I've done the podcast now for about a year. I've tried content creation now for 2 years, and I'm just not consistent with it. And I don't know if I'm not consistent with social media because of fear, because I think I'm going to be successful and I don't know how to deal with that, or if that's actually something I really want to do. Because I know with the podcast, like when I'm doing the podcast, when I'm doing the episodes, I am excited. I am like, I right now have a lot of energy. And like I said, maybe it's because I haven't listened to music where it's like, okay, there's a lot of energy and I need to do something with this energy. So me talking right now really, really fast is a way of me taking out my energy. But just in general, when I've done the podcast episodes, I feel like really energized and I feel very, I don't know if excited would be the word, like the level of excitement is high, but definitely a lot of enthusiasm. I was like, oh, like this was really good. Kind of like my therapy type. And I forgot where I was going with this point. But again, so yeah, so I know with the podcast episodes, I know they could be fun. I know like I have some ideas where I want to interview other people like in the car and like have a conversation together and then hang out for a bit and do some content together and something fun, nevertheless, like these ideas are not coming into like the seed is there. I just need to start watering it and like start sending those emails and booking those things. And I know there's two to three people that I know I can message right now and be like, yo, you want to do a live? And someone that I actually was supposed to message a long time ago and I haven't, and I feel really, really bad. And this is where therapy comes in, because I keep self-sabotaging so much. And I'm like, I haven't even said about what I think about therapy. But this is pretty much like the context of why I'm starting therapy, is because again, it's been such a long time with me trying to like do stuff by myself, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if I actually do need a coach, but right now I don't have the resources to get a coach where it's probably gonna be like $500 to $1,000 plus. And there's other projects that I want to do where like I want to buy a car this month. I want to go on a road trip, so I need to start planning for that. So if I buy a car, that means I need to save up for, because I'm also starting another job where I do need a car. So saving up for an October, November, December, so that January to March I could do my road trip or like work somewhere else that's not in where I live. So I want to go to either to Arizona. At least that's where like the job that I found is, and it's a seasonal, so it's like perfect. And so there's a lot of like chaos, or like I just don't know what to choose, so I don't know if it's the right decision. And then like again, we're going back with like content. I don't know if content is the right decision. If I don't do content, then what else am I supposed to do if I don't want to do a 9 to 5 job? Like what, like that's where like a lot of resistance comes. Like why am I not doing anything if I have so much free time? You know, a lot of stuff like that. So that's why I decided to start therapy. Period. So let's go into into what I think about therapy and why it took me so long to actually decide. And again, this is like me before therapy. I don't know what's gonna happen. I've heard, and I guess it's like where like the beliefs comes in, because again I've mentioned before like a family member, the like my cousin, she has taken therapy, and sometimes it's like we when I think about therapy and like, and it's kind of like when I think about therapy, I think about her case where it's just a lot of like talking about her feelings, talking about how my day went, blah, blah, blah. And it's like I don't want that. Like I do not want, like I already know what the problem is. Like give me the resources to fix this problem, you know. Give me the resources to fix this problem, because I already know what the problem is. I need guidance on how to move forward from this problem. Does that make sense? Or like, is that how therapy works? Or is it really just like talking about a feeling, and then like I mean I can like give examples with like my cousin's therapy because I didn't ask for her permission, but that's the general, at least how when she like talks about it, that's how I feel, like that's how I imagine it. It's like literally talking about feelings, like maybe an exercise or something, or like a different perspective, and then that's it. Like, but and again, that's why I've had so much resistance, because like, okay, I already know what problem is. I already probably know what I have to do. Is just why do I have so much resistance on doing it? Like, tell me how to fix this problem. I don't want to just talk about my feelings. I want to know how to solve this problem. And yeah, I think that's like the main things. Like, that's the main thing. Like, I don't want to keep on just talking about and complaining about my problems. I want to do something about it, because like, am I cursed or something? Like, is my family, like, is the family pattern of us being just doing the bare minimum and accepting the bare minimum, is that the pattern, and is it so strong that that's why I haven't really started anything? Or is it really just me, and really having to have the discipline and the strength to do that? And then if that is the case, then how can I get more strength to do the things that I do? Because I swear, I know I do want to do certain things, and I do want to change my life, but why am I not doing it? But that's one case of like what I believe about therapy. And like, I think it's just talking. Another thing, like when it comes to, at least in my family, when it comes to therapy, it's like we used to, there's that belief like, oh, la terapia es para los locos, it's for crazy people, like people who don't, I don't even know like I don't even know what's the further argument of like it's for the locals, because if anything, we're all crazy. So yeah, we all do need therapy. Like if you're talking about crazy, like y'all need therapy too. But no, and I think like thankfully, like my family also hasn't been super like strict about it. It's like, okay, if you need it, like you do you. Like I think because I feel like all of us, or most of us, are black sheeps in some way. Like we're all black sheeps in different ways, which makes us, which is like so, like we're weird in different extremes, but we're so weird for each other, if that makes sense. But I think even though we have these beliefs of like, oh, los terapias para locos, whatever, it's like you still get to do you, because you're already like, we already know like how you are type of, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody here who's watching this video. But so yeah, so it's like those beliefs are like And even though thankfully that hasn't really been ingrained, again, it hasn't really been ingrained in me like that. There's still that stereotype of like you're weird if you go to therapy. Like, why do you need? Oh, okay. Why do you need therapy? Is like for us, like life hasn't been traumatic. Like there's been a couple of traumatic events that has influenced how I am as a person. But when it comes to like relationship with parents, when it comes to relationship with family, when it comes to like how we grew up, like thankfully my mom, like even though we did struggle and we didn't really learn about it until like we're like probably like high school and stuff, when we were like more middle, like late middle school, high school, when we were more conscious about stuff and we could actually hear conversations and understand the conversations. Like we grew up we had a good childhood, even though I don't remember much of it. Like I know it was a good, and my mom and my dad always tried to not put their problems onto us, and especially financial problems. They really tried not to get us involved again until we were actually aware of like what was going on, and say, okay, we're more considerate. But before it's like, okay, I want this and I want that and I want this and I want that, and it's like, okay, you get, like, yeah, you get it. And then that's where codependencia is, because our family didn't know how to set those boundaries. Like, you know what, no, and have those conversations like no, we can't buy this because of this and that. We could do something else. So we kind of grew up like that. We're like, everything is okay, everything is okay. But in reality, no, it was not okay. And I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, okay. So it's like when you think about therapy is because you're really messed up, and it's like you have like really bad depression where you can't get up, or you're bipolar and you obviously like need some treatment and stuff like that. And it's like very traumatic stuff. And for me, I've always thought, and even to this day, like it makes me want to cry. Like my voice is like, where's my water? No, really, did I not bring my water? But I've always thought like I've had this great, great time. I've always had this great time. Like I know I've had this like great childhood, and my parents have always been so loving in their own way. And then why do I have these feelings of sadness? Why do I have these feelings of anger? Why do I have these feelings of resentment? Why do I have these feelings of I'm not enough, I'm not worth it? When the reality is like I've dealt with those parts of anger and resentment. Like I understand those parts, and 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 I've understand like where those feelings have come from, and then those feelings where like your story is not worth it, or your feelings are not, what's the word, your feelings are not valid because you didn't pass through these like really traumatic events. So you kind of like invalidate your feelings and invalidate your situation and invalidate the 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 feelings and the emotions and your own perspective and your own experiences. And I think I've invalidated so much of that because like compared to others, like people having like really really bad like even like recently I was listening to Nikki Jam's podcast episode with Jay Shetty, and I was like, bro, this dude is like his life, it's crazy. Like it's actually crazy. Like I can't imagine living that life, and growing up with a mom who's an addict, or a dad who wasn't really there. You know, so I can compare myself to them. Like what am I complaining about? Like why am I making this a bigger deal than it is? So stuff like that is what made me like not go to therapy. It's like you can figure it out. Like you're okay. Like you got this. And no, I'm not okay, and I still have a lot of feelings. And don't get me wrong, I've been working it, and I think that's the thing. Like, we don't give ourselves so much. Um, what's the word? We don't give ourselves so much. I don't know what the word is. We don't give ourselves so much. Comment down below what the word is, because I don't know what it is. But we don't give ourselves so much blank because we think what we've done is like, yeah, that's what we have to do. But no, like in reality, like you compare yourself to other, like you not compare, but like you see other people where it's like who's similar age, and it's like, okay, like they're not doing half of what you're doing. And again, that's like they're on their own journey. I'm not trying to judge and whatever, but you know, like I've done the work, and it's not fair for me to say I'm not doing enough when I'm trying to be a better person. So stuff like that is like we tend to we just can't we and again, sorry, because I don't have my thoughts like set, but we it's really difficult for us to ask for help. And and that I think that one is probably the biggest one, where, besides like the invalidating my feelings, like the second one I think will be we don't know how to ask for help, and we don't want to pay for that help, because full transparency, and I think everybody knows, like therapy is not cheap. And I paid $150 for one session, which I believe is like an hour and a half. And then I also booked another therapy. That one's coming in March, so I don't know what's gonna happen during that time. But universe is like, yeah, you're gonna need that therapy in March. So that one, thankfully, I had to pay like half of it, and then the other half when I actually have the therapy. So I paid 75. So in just 1 month, I paid $225 in just therapy. So you need to start saving money, and you need to start budgeting for that if you actually want to ask for help, because that type of help is not cheap. And thankfully, I've saved my money, and I budget, and it's like, okay, we could afford this therapy right now. So asking for help is really, really hard. And asking for help, like even if it's not therapy, but like let's say like if we have family, like thankfully I have my mom, like she's very, very wise. But there's certain situations where it comes to like trying social media, trying to do like have a lifestyle or have a career where it's not traditional. Like my mom can't advise me, oh yeah, you should do like this hook, and you should do this type of content, and you should do this. Like my mom can't do that, and this therapy is not gonna do that either. But like honestly, I don't even know what this is. Maybe I do need a coach, but it's like I don't know. I just need some guidance and maybe like a different perspective. And I don't know how much I can pack in there to and I don't know how much topics I could pack. Oh, that's a pretty butterfly. But I don't know how many topics I could pack in one therapy session of an hour and a half. Like it's so frustrating because I feel like I want the answers quick, and that's not how it works. And I think I've been patient enough to like do the things, but I still haven't put in the work. So I think that's what I think about therapy. Like I feel I don't know what to expect really, and I've heard a lot of horror stories like through social media, or even like TV, or even TV when I was watching Young Sheldon, and he went to like they took him to therapy or like to a psychologist or whatever, and because he didn't want to eat, and this dude was like super weird in its own way, like and yeah, so it's like I imagine like stuff like that, and like maybe like people like my cousin. I keep saying like I'm sorry, or I apologize to myself that I know I don't want to say that too much, but like my cousin before like she found a therapist that was like good for her, like understanding, like there was therapists where like she didn't really get along, or like the therapists weren't that great, and that's another thing I really fight. And like and sorry and when I like there's people who get into these careers and they are not passionate about what they're doing, and they don't really want to help, and like for some reason I don't know why, or maybe they thought, maybe they had an expectation, but then like their own problems and then people's problems, like why are you complaining about this, like maybe they fall out of love with their career. So that for me is like really, really scary, because if I don't find someone who's really passionate about their job and who really wants to help and who really does a good job at what they're doing, that really scares me, because like I'm investing, like I chose to invest money, and if you're not doing your job correctly, like you're becoming part of my trauma by not doing your job good. So that's what I'm scared of. I think that's another big factor of like why it's like I want someone who's actually good. And the one that I booked, funny enough, it's from this podcast that I listen to, Tengo un Plan, and I just met her, or like found out about her through this episode, and I booked her because it's like it was during the right time where I was asking for help, and I really liked what she was talking about. So I was like, okay, perfect timing. I think perfect person. Let's book you. So I booked her like literally day of that I found out about her, just like how it happened with my palm reading. I literally booked the day of when I found out about this guy, which ended up not being the guy that I thought he was gonna do my palm reading, but it was somebody else. I mean, she was so cool though, but it wasn't what I expected. It was in with like the person I thought was gonna do my palm reading. But nevertheless, this is what I think about therapy. I am at the end of the day, I am scared about therapy. I'm scared that I'm gonna have to do more than one session, and the one session's not gonna be enough. Um, but yeah, I really hope I learn a lot from this therapy session and from her. I hope I can have her in my podcast one day, and I'm super excited. I'm super excited, and I just remembered that I was supposed to do this episode in Spanish because I wanted to do Spanish episodes in September because it's Mexican Independence Day in September 16th, 17th, 15th. One of those days. It's this weekend for sure. But yeah, I am excited. I'm scared. I'm not scared. I'm nervous, but I'm also excited because I know this might like unblock something that allows me to have more momentum, or actually like reminds me of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and like why I should be doing, and like the universe, God, like has something bigger for me, or has a a project, or whatever it is, a purpose for me, and it's like, you are going the right path, so let's just keep going. So I'm excited right now. Before I end, like I guess like an actionable step that I could give right now is right now I can say it right now, but I I'm doing this inner child healing exercise where you take a picture of yourself, or don't take, but you get a picture of yourself when you were a little kid, and you have that as your screensaver. Mine's actually really funny because it's me in the ocean, my cousin's like right behind me, like literally a creepy eye type of thing, and then like somebody somebody drowning right behind me, and that was kind of funny. But that's the only picture I had where I liked, because I was smiling. I'm trying to find this other photo where I really really want to have it, but I just can't find it. And it's like me like this with like my like and like mountains and stuff like that. And I think like it depicts like the perfect image and like the lifestyle that I want to have, like travel and stuff like that. But the point of this exercise and having your inner child, your baby when you're a baby, or whatever, when you're younger self, as your wallpaper, is like every day you have to either write down or write or say it out loud, or both, like whatever it is. And like, what would you want to tell this, like your younger self, pretty much? And it's like that inner healing, because you're like, oh, like I'm so proud of you. Like I'm really glad that I'm really proud of you on how you were able to handle the situation, like without having any resources and stuff like that. Blah blah blah. Like you're so independent. I'm so proud of you. Stuff like that. So I think this is my second day. So even I haven't done it yet, but I definitely did start yesterday, and it was like really nice. I think like that's why I also have a lot of energy right now, because like, okay, like Andrea, from hearing yourself, like you've done so much, and I'm so proud of you. Like I can't disappoint you any further. So let's keep going. Like I got you. Like I will do the work, and I will do what's required, and I'm swear I'm trying my best. And that's why I'm recording today. So I'm really really excited, and I think just day one has already helped. And yeah, I think I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share, all of that. You already know the pajamas. Someone's calling me, so I really gotta go. Have an amazing, beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next one.